Newsroom. You're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and we're brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. Go online anytime and order your pizza at papajohns.com. Hey, we're in our new video studio. We're giving this a test run today with The Press Row, and it's time for 5 and 5, Barry. Let's get right to it with this question. Who's the Thunder's starting center in the playoffs?
Well, I think it's going to be Enes Kanter because I think he's going to be the starting center down the stretch of the regular season. Scotty Brooks, sort of got a blank slate with all the trades and the injury to Steven Adams. Kanter's really produced offensively. Now, I think there's going to be games where Steven Adams is going to have to play more than Enes Kanter plays. For instance, when Memphis is in town or a Memphis playoff series. But Scotty showed us last year, in the playoffs, he'll move off center and go to an offensive lineup. Caron Butler started. Then Reggie Jackson started. Those were offensive-type players. I think he'll be predisposed to go with the offense. I think Kanter starts.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Kanter, too. And I tell you, I was sort of meh on the Kanter acquisition at the trade deadline. You know, obviously we all knew that he had offensive game, but he's been even better than I thought he was. And you know what? Things soured so much for him in Utah. I don't know if he was playing at maximum strength or giving it his all. Probably not this season in Utah. But now that he's with this team, he just looks overjoyed practically every time he steps on the court. And I don't know if Russell Westbrook's looking for a bromance, but he loves him some Kanter. That is pretty obvious. So I think he gets a nod, but two very good centers the Thunder have, and they can go a lot of different ways with Steven Adams and Kanter. I think it's going to be really fun to see what Scott Brooks does. All right, Barry, a little true-false here. True-false, OU's men run the table and tie Kansas for the Big 12 title.
Well, the smart money says false because the Sooners have two games that are close to toss-ups. They go to Ames, where they'll be a slight underdog. They host Kansas, where they'll be a slight favorite, I assume. But, you know, let's call them 50-50 games. That makes about a 25% chance that OU wins both. That's tough odds. I don't think it's so I think probably it's false, but what a great story. If OU could go to Ames and win and set up a Big 12 Conference championship game at Lloyd Noble Center, would make for a special night.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm also going to go with false because, frankly, Baylor didn't do Oklahoma any favors. They went to Iowa State, beat the Cyclones on their home floor, which does not set well in Ames. You know the fans are going to be fired up. The team is going to be fired up. So I think OU may end any hopes of running the table on Monday night with that big Monday game against Iowa State. But, yeah, it is pretty remarkable that for the first time in a long time you can see a scenario playing out, Barry, where Kansas does not outright win this thing. It's been 10 years that they've won the Big 12 championship. So it's time for somebody else to win it. OU's got a chance. Let's see what they can do. All right, Barry, what about this question? A little OSU football for you. Should the OSU football moves with all the assistant coaches, now 3 openings in Stillwater, should that be a cause for concern?
I don't think in long term. Now, immediate, I mean, Mike Gundy needs some assistance because spring practice starts in just a few days. So somebody's got to tell those guys what to do. Part of the spring practice includes practice. So you got to have coaches out there or it's not practice. But I think long term, Gundy's shown that he brings in quality guys. That's one reason why he's losing them is because other people want Jamal Singleton, even Bob Conley going to Southern Cal. So I think Gundy has shown that he can bring in a quality staff. I think he'll do the same now. Just a little bit of a time crunch because of spring practice is upon us.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any sort of weirdness or strangeness going on at OSU. You know, we sort of talked about the same sort of thing when Jerry Montgomery left OU for an assistant to an assistant's job with the Green Bay Packers and sort of, you know, should there be any reason to think something funky's going on here? And I don't think there is in Norman, and I don't think there is in Stillwater. The Bob Conley move, I mean, that's a little bit surprising because he did get that group playing so well at the end of the year, really seemed to have some things coming together on the offensive line. But, you know, if he wanted to get back into the Pac-12 footprint, it was a pretty, obvious move that he would take a chance and go to USC. Some guys got NFL opportunities, got pay raises in Jamal Singleton. So you can understand each move. It does cause some immediate needs, but I don't think there's anything bad going on at OSU. I just think they've got some guys that become desirable, and then other teams come in and grab them. All right, Barry, our fun question of the week. Weather has not been good around here. It's been snowy, it's been cold. So, what's your favorite snow day activity?
Well, if I get my pick on a snow day where I'm stuck at home, I'll turn the fireplace on and I'll sit around and hang out with the dish all day. That sounds like a fabulous day to me. However, that doesn't happen very often. So my snow day activity now is bundling up and getting the girls. My 3 granddaughters, they love to go out and, you know, we say we're going to build a snowman. We end up not doing much other than throwing snowballs. But they think it's the coolest thing in the world, and nothing's cuter than them bundled up like Eskimos. So it's a fun day.
Do they do the Christmas Story thing where they can't move their arms down? Do they get that bundled up?
No, but
okay.
they're close though.
Okay.
It's neighborhood. They're in that neighborhood.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? We did have a little snowman building activity at our house earlier this week. And when I say little, I mean like a snowman this big, but it was super cute. And, you know, making snow angels and that sort of thing. Whenever kids get involved with snow days, it becomes way better. If I get a solo snow day, I'm going to make something warm and toasty to drink. You know, get some apple cider or some you know, chocolate, hot chocolate going. Sit around, watch a bunch of movies that I don't normally get to watch. That's what I do. But I don't really have a choice anymore with a 2-year-old in the house.
It's out of your control.
Totally out of my control. All right, lastly, Barry, let's talk about some court and field storming. Should there be punishment when fans storm the court? We saw it get ugly at K-State earlier this week when they beat Kansas there. Should there be some punishment?
Yes, there should be, but I don't think it should be from the conference upon the schools. I think it should be incumbent upon the schools to do the enforcement and the punishment, and they should do the punishing on the court. And they hold a magic wand over most of these court stormers, which are their students. And you've got the threat of academic suspension and or expulsion. So, you know, most court stormings are fine. They're charming. We like to see them. But when it reaches what it reached in Manhattan with some physical altercations, and you're really not storming the court as much as you're wanting to talk trash to the opponent, there was some physical stuff. Bill Self made a fabulous point when he said, hey, what if one of my guys gets pushed or popped and he hauls off and hits somebody?
Right. Just
a natural thing that a lot of us would do. All of a sudden that player's in massive trouble. You've got to take action against individual students, and it looks like Kansas State may be at least on that track of doing so.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, and you know, personally, I love to see fans storm the field, storm the court. It's fun. Usually they're having a great time. I remember standing down on the field after Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma in football a few years ago, and they stormed the field, and you know, just people running around, you know, adults, 40s, 50s, running around like little kids. I mean, they're in a good, fun way. There wasn't anything nefarious about any of it. But obviously, as with everything, there comes a time when, you know, things go wrong. So, you know, if there's gonna be punishment, you got to do something fairly severe. If the conferences want to take a stand or the NCAA wants to take a stand, frankly, I know that the SEC has a monetary fine that they've enforced and has seemed to work to some degree. But, you know, if you want the ultimate punishment in my mind would be if the court is stormed, that home team forfeits the game. To me, if you're a fan sitting in the stands and that's the punishment, I don't go anywhere when the game's over. I keep my seat. But I don't know if conferences are ready to go that far. Unfortunately, it may take something pretty serious for our conference to go that far. But obviously, it's got people thinking after what we saw in Manhattan the other night. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.